My personal watch collection was missing two things. It was missing a San Martin and it was missing a saturation capable dive watch. So I decided to kill both birds with one stone. This is the San Martin SN0147. Welcome back to HoroLogical. Why San Martin? Why now? Over the last couple of years, I'd quietly noticed something interesting. More than a few serious collectors in my social circle, people with genuinely deep watch collections had added a San Martin or two. Not because they were cheap, not because they were trendy, but because the finishing was good enough that curiosity eventually turned into ownership. I always knew I'd own one at some point. The question was, which one? Why this watch specifically? Well, I chose this watch for two main reasons. The first is obvious. Just look at it. This is a visually striking, technically aggressive watch with features that directly appeal to me. But the second reason is more interesting. At a time when watch trends are clearly sizing down, this does the opposite, deliberately, unapologetically, and in a very engineering-led way. The inner contrarian in me absolutely loves that. So let's take a closer look and get a little deeper on San Martin, no pun intended. Dial and first impressions. San Martin described the dial as a blue enamel wave effect dial. There is a gradient here, but it's subtle, nothing loud, nothing artificial. Technically, it's very well executed, and in the hand, it looks far more expensive than you'd expect to see at this level. This is also a heavy watch. Sized for my very average 7-inch wrist, it comes in at 225 grams. Yes, you heard that correct, 225 grams. That weight immediately reinforces the claim of 1,000 metres of water resistance. This does not feel theoretical, it feels plausible, highly plausible. The design language and character, this is one of the most industrial, brutalist leaning watches that I have had in hand, and yet the transitions are well finished. Edges are controlled, light play is excellent. There's even a slight whiff of Cybertruck style finish in here. Be warned, wearing this watch will provoke questions. People will notice it, people will ask about it. This is a heavy, industrial, tough as nails tool watch, no debate. In my wider watch collection, it sits at the extreme end of design intent and technical capability. Risk and brand direction. This is a risky design for San Martin. I don't imagine it selling in massive numbers. And for me, that's perfect. For bigger wrists, for collectors who enjoy variety of size and intent, it's genuinely refreshing to have an option available like this. I am on the record many times now decrying collections that are full of 20mm lug width, 40mm case divers. You know exactly what I mean here. But more importantly, this watch signals something else. San Martin are clearly moving further into original design, and this watch confirms that trajectory. It's a gutsy move. There are comparisons which we'll go on to, but there's also direction and confidence here that many other Chinese brands simply do not show. The Caseback features an embossed shark logo, and I genuinely love it. At a time when some major brands have moved towards laser engraved casebacks, often to the disappointment of their core fans, this feels like a quiet win. It's confident, it's tactile, and it's executed properly. This watch uses Vuitton fluoroelastomer gaskets. It has an automatic helium escape valve and over-engineered casework to fully support that 1,000 metre saturation diver rating. From a technical design standpoint, it has what it needs to do the job it claims. The helium escape valve is essentially a pre-calibrated pressure release system, allowing helium molecules to escape safely during decompression after saturation diving. Do most owners need it? No. Does it add technical credibility? Absolutely. Does the inner watch nerd in us all absolutely love this? 100%. So let's now look at a quick spec slide of this watch. The case material is 316L stainless steel. Case diameter 43mm. Thickness 15.9mm. Lug width 22mm. The lug to lug 48.5mm. The movement is a Seiko NH35 3Hz. Power reserve 41 hours. The crystal is sapphire double domed with clear anti-reflective coating. Water resistance 1000 metres, and sized for my 7-inch wrist it's 225 grams. The bracelet here is specific to this watch. Solid female end links fit the case perfectly, allowing the bracelet to drop straight down, working with that shorter lug to lug to suit a range of wrists. Each link articulates smoothly, screw pins reinforce quality, finishing is excellent. The clasp is a fully milled double pusher deploying dive clasp, and the metal finishing here is as good as anything I've seen in my HoroLogical journey to date. Gap tolerances are tight, light play is consistent and genuinely impressive. The micro adjust gives about 10mm of travel, not massive, but adequate and absolutely necessary on a watch like this. The first major weakness, however, there's a glaring omission. There is no fold over double security mechanism on the clasp. On a saturation capable dive watch that should be there. This is a well executed clasp, but it's been deployed in the wrong usage case. The dial features applied indices, a high quality handset and no date. More on that shortly. Everything stands up extremely well under macro. The chapter ring is straight sided, highly polished and works beautifully with the blue and silver colour scheme. Visual coherence here is genuinely impressive, and I also have a theory why that is, but I'm going to save that for a future video. If that sounds like your kind of thing, subscribe, leave a comment and give the video a like. It genuinely helps the channel. Thank you. The bezel action is outstanding. Crisp, accurate, no backplay, none, zero, zilch. The engraved polished numerals against the media blasted background look high end, even from across the room. The Lume Performance is competent rather than spectacular. BGW9 is used, but applied a little sparingly here. That said, legibility day and night is very good, and the yellow accent on the seconds hand, it adds a pleasing touch of colour theory compliant contrast against the deep blue dial. Inside is the Seiko NH35. There's no date in this watch, which means you do get a ghost date position on the crown. I know how off-putting that is for some collectors. The reality of this is it was a cost-driven compromise. The NH38 movement would solve it, but availability and pricing make that difficult. Where the budget has gone instead is into the enamel dial, the embossed caseback, the Vuitton gaskets and the overall construction. It uses a metal movement holder that no one will ever see, but these design decisions are all quality led. And in terms of regulation, this example is running +4 seconds per day. This is excellent for a Seiko NH35 and well beyond factory expectations. This watch wears large, unapologetically so, but you don't buy a watch like this without knowing exactly what you're getting into. It will provide years of reliable service, and it will start conversations. If anyone doubts the build quality, just let them try the bezel. That answers everything in a tactile way. In a world of shrinking watches, this stands apart, but it isn't perfect. The two main weaknesses are clear: the ghost date position and a technically excellent clasp that simply isn't correct for this usage case. And yet, this is a big, bold, confident original watch, and a strong signal of where San Martin are heading. That makes it far more interesting than playing it safe tactics. And remember, watch collecting isn't logical, but it is HoroLogical.